Surely you have heard scary stories about zombies or creatures that can come back to life after death, which seems like they only exist in horror movies. But the natural world is much more mysterious than you think. There are animals that can still move, even after being decapitated, some that can revive after being completely frozen, and some that never die because they don't age at all. In this video, we will explore 15 animals that can live after death. Not magic, but real biological superpowers that even science is amazed by. Are you ready? The journey into this creepy but extremely fascinating biological world begins now. Number 1 is snakes, a dangerous animal that I think many of you are afraid of. Snakes have more than 3,500 species in the world, 600 of which are venomous enough to pose a threat to humans. They are one of the most haunted species when it comes to still being able to kill people after death. It sounds like a horror movie, but it is completely true in the natural world. When a snake is decapitated, the nervous system in its head and body is still active for several minutes, even hours. This is because the snake's reflex system is not entirely dependent on the brain, but is largely controlled by the spinal cord, which can still activate muscles even when separated from the head. What is especially scary is that the snake's head can still react to stimuli, such as light touches or nearby movements. If you get too close, it can still open its mouth, bite, and inject venom as a final death blow. There have been cases of people being bitten to death by snakeheads that had been cut off. A famous example occurred in the U.S., when a man cut off the head of a rattlesnake to protect his family. But a few minutes later, when he tried to throw the head away, the snake bit him again and released a powerful venom, forcing him to go to the emergency room and almost losing his life. Number 2. The wood frog, also known as Rana slovatica, is an ugly-looking animal, completely frozen, but still alive. Imagine being frozen. Your heart stops beating. Your blood stops flowing. Your brain stops working. Sounds like death, right? But for the wood frog living in North America, it's just a long hibernation. In winter, when the temperature drops below 0 degrees Celsius, this frog's entire body freezes. Its skin, blood, and internal organs turn to ice. Its heart stops beating completely. There are no signs of life, just like a real corpse. And then the magic happens. When spring comes and the temperature warms up, the frog's body slowly thaws. Its cells come back to life. Its heart starts beating again, and the frog wakes up, as if it had never been dead. What's going on? Wood frogs produce special sugars called glucose and urea, which act as natural antifreeze, protecting cells from bursting when the water in their bodies freezes. When thawed, these molecules help restore cellular activity and help the frog revive from a state of clinical death. A wood frog can be frozen to 65% of its body for weeks. Scientists are studying this frog to develop techniques for preserving human organs and even space travel while hibernating. Number 3. Turtles are slow creatures but carry surprising biological mysteries. Not only are they famous for living as long as the sages of the animal world, turtles also have magical abilities that make people think they are immortal or live after death. Does a turtle's heart still beat after death? It sounds crazy, but there have been many records that the hearts of some turtle species continue to beat for many hours, even up to 3 to 4 days after being brain dead or beheaded. Why is that? That's because the turtle's heart does not completely depend on nerve signals to beat, but it has an automatic contraction mechanism thanks to calcium ions in the heart muscle cells. As long as there are ions, the heart will still innocently beat, even though the body is no longer alive. Turtles and the ability to survive in a fake death state. Some turtles that live in cold regions, like the red-eared slider, are able to stop breathing for weeks while hibernating under the ice in the winter. During that time, they require no oxygen, their hearts beat very slowly, and they have almost no neurological activity. They are like a zombie. But when spring comes and the temperature rises, the turtles wake up and continue their lives as if nothing had happened. It is truly a miracle of nature. Number 4. Lobster. Not only an expensive and attractive seafood dish on the table, but also a living symbol of biological immortality. If you think this species only knows how to taste, then prepare to be surprised. Lobsters can live very long, do not age in the usual way, and some scientists have asked, will lobsters ever die of old age? It's all because of their DNA. The cells of all animals are constantly being replaced, and DNA controls this process. But when we get old, unlike most creatures, lobsters do not go through the aging process like us. They do not weaken over time, do not lose the ability to reproduce when old, and their internal organs still function effectively even after a very long life. In biology, this is called negligible senescence, like turtles, Greenland sharks, and hydras. The secret lies in the longevity enzyme, telomerase. In humans, each time a cell duplicates, the ends of the chromosomes, called telomeres, shorten. And this is one of the reasons why we age. But lobsters produce the enzyme telomerase throughout their lives, helping them maintain and repair telomeres, keeping their cells fresh as they were in their youth. Although they are biologically ageless, lobsters still have to molt to grow. This process becomes increasingly energy-intensive as they grow, and at some point, they can no longer molt, leading to bacteria, parasites, and death, rather than dying of old age in the usual way. Number 5. Cockroaches, the leech-like creatures, the symbol of immortality in the insect world. You and I may hate them, fear them, even try to chase them away and kill them. But cockroaches still survive, as if they came from prehistoric times and have no intention of leaving. Cockroaches, living without a head, surviving the atomic bomb. Headless? No problem. Cockroaches still live well. You may have heard, cockroaches can live without a head. And that is absolutely true. When they lose their heads, cockroaches do not bleed to death like humans because they do not have closed blood vessels like us, but use an open circulatory system. In addition, cockroaches breathe through small holes on both sides of their bodies, called spiracles, so losing their heads does not stop them from breathing. Without their heads, cockroaches only die after a few days because they cannot eat or drink water, not because they cannot survive. Scary, right? Surviving a nuclear blast? One of the most popular myths is that cockroaches can survive an atomic bomb. Although this is a bit of an exaggeration, cockroaches are actually 10 to 15 times more resistant to radiation than humans. That's why cockroaches are considered a living symbol of survival, no matter how harsh the environment. Cockroaches have existed for over 300 million years, surviving ice ages, volcanoes, and the extinction of dinosaurs. Even if you wipe out a colony, if there's a single female left carrying eggs, the nightmare will return in just a few days. Number 6. Flies are one of the most annoying insects we have ever encountered. With their incredible ability to revive and their incredibly fast nerve reflexes. You may despise them, But the scientific world holds a special curiosity for flies because of the strange things surrounding their death and after death. Their nerves are so fast that they live on. After death, flies, especially houseflies, Musca domestica, have lightning-fast nerve reflexes, part of the reason why you can't hit them even after you swing your arm a dozen times. But what's more interesting is, even after a fly is killed, its body can still twitch or react strangely, as if it were still alive. The reason? The fly's nervous system is very simple, but super sensitive, and some activities such as the reflex to fly, flap its wings, or curl its legs can still occur after the brain stops working, due to the residual nerve electricity left in the body. Zombie flies, parasitized, and living as the undead, one of the creepiest things. Many species of flies can be parasitized by fungi, larvae, or viruses, turning them into real zombies. Regeneration? Not completely, but quite strange. In a laboratory setting, some researchers have demonstrated that parts of the fly's body, especially the legs and wings, can respond to electrical stimulation after the fly has died. Although they do not regenerate like flatworms or hydras, flies show that their nervous systems still have the last word after their bodies stop functioning. Number 7. Bees are cute little creatures that seem to only know how to fly and suck nectar, but they possess a fierce fighting instinct, an extremely scary post-mortem nervous system, and can even still sting you after death. Bees, suicide warriors, still attack after death. If you have ever been stung by a bee, you will understand the feeling of dying and coming back to life, literally. But what is even more horrifying is, even when the bee is dead, its stinger continues to contract, releasing venom and injuring the victim. When a honeybee stings, its stinger will get stuck in the prey's skin, dragging along a part of its internal organs as it flies away. And that causes it to die after a single sting, due to loss of internal organs. However, the muscle system in the bee's stinger continues to work automatically, contracting rhythmically to inject venom into the opponent's skin for several minutes after the bee has died. This is an independent nerve reflex, not controlled by the brain, and makes the sting doubly deadly. Bee venom contains melittin, histamine, and powerful inflammatory enzymes, which remain active even when the bee is no longer alive. That's why doctors always recommend that you remove the stinger immediately, because the longer you wait, the more the dead stinger will inject more poison. Number 8. Mussels. They sound docile, quiet, and harmless, but in fact they are creatures with extraordinary survival abilities, and can even continue to function after being severed from their bodies. Mussels are native to the North Atlantic and are a delicacy, a true, slow-living species, but extremely stubborn even in the face of death mussels, the ocean's super-resilient and resilient creatures. No brain, no heart, but still alive? Mussels are bivalve mollusks, living fixedly on the seabed, attached tightly to rocks or corals. The special thing is they have no brain, no central nervous system, but can still open and close their shells, react to light, and survive in toxic environments. Some species can survive for hours after being separated from their shells, or even severed, because they function thanks to automatic reflexes from their scattered nervous systems. Special muscle system works after death. One highlight is that the shell-closing muscle of the sea mussel is extremely strong. Even after the mussel has died, in the biological sense, the shell-closing muscle continues to contract, keeping the shell tightly closed for many hours. That is why when people take the mussel out of the shell, they have to use strong force or heat to open it, even though it is dead. Number 9 is squid, the dark warrior of the ocean, fast as lightning, smart as a spy, and most amazingly, still moving, changing color, even swimming after death. Do you think squid are only good at spraying ink to escape? Then prepare to be surprised by its mysterious post-death abilities. Squid, the magical post-death creature at the bottom of the sea, headless, still changes color. Cut, still twitches. Why? A phenomenon that makes scientists and chefs gasp is, after the squid dies, or even chopped up, its tentacles can still automatically twitch, move, and change color. Even when the brain is no longer active, the tentacles still receive signals, react to salt, electricity, or collision, making witnesses think it is still alive. The dancing squid phenomenon in Japanese cuisine. A famous dish is Ika odoridon, dancing squid in Japan. The chef pours soy sauce over the body of a dead squid, and it starts dancing on the rice bowl. The squid is not alive. The salt in the soy sauce activates the remaining nerve signals, causing the muscles to contract realistically. Both interesting and slightly haunting for those who witness it for the first time. Number 10 is chicken. It sounds normal, even a bit funny, but you will completely change your perspective when you know that. Losing your head is not necessarily the end. Chicken, a bird that can live without a head. This story seems to only exist in legends, but it actually happened in real life. A headless chicken survived for 18 months. Mike, the legendary headless chicken. 1945. In 1945, in Colorado, USA, a farmer named Lloyd Olson cut off the head of a chicken, intending to cook it. But a strange thing happened. The chicken still stood up and walked around, trying to peck at food, even though it had no head. The farmer kept it, feeding it with a syringe through the remaining esophagus. And Mike lived for 18 months, becoming a living legend in fairs and magazines. Scientific explanation. The blow does not completely cut the brainstem and posterior brainstem, which control heart rate, breathing, and basic reflexes. Therefore, basic life functions continue, despite the loss of the head. Number 11. Beware. Seemingly simple, squishy, unremarkable creatures. We've all heard the claim that if you cut a worm in half, it will turn into 2 separate worms, but this isn't entirely true. But it's actually the master of regenerative and regenerative abilities in the animal kingdom. Don't let its docile appearance fool you. Many species of worms can even regrow their heads after being cut in half. Worms, especially flatworms, planaria, are masters of regeneration in nature. If you cut a flatworm into 2, 3, even 10 pieces, each of those pieces can grow back into a complete worm, including the head, tail, nervous system, and eyes. And no joke, flatworms have pluripotent stem cells throughout their bodies. These cells are like universal building blocks. They know where they are and grow back the missing part. Not only do they survive death, they also come back to life as multiple copies. That is, if you kill a flatworm by cutting it open, you don't kill it. You just replicate it. Weird, right? Some experiments have even shown that worms can retain behavioral memories after growing back their heads. Number 12. Tardigrade, also known as water bear, is the smallest creature on this list, but possesses supernatural survival abilities that surpass science fiction. It is not an exaggeration to say it not only lives after death, but can also live in space. Tardigrade, super creature that survives death, after disasters, and even in space. Tardigrade does not live after death, in the way of losing its head or mechanical reflexes. Instead, it hibernates to the point of being dead, then revives. When exposed to extreme conditions such as no water, temperatures from -272 degrees Celsius, near absolute zero, to 150 degrees Celsius, pressure 6 times higher than the bottom of the Mariana Sea, cosmic radiation, toxic chemicals, or even space flight. It drains water from its body, freezes itself into a so-called tun state, biological mummy state, no heartbeat, no metabolism, almost clinically dead. And then, when water is returned, it revives as if nothing had happened. Its DNA has a unique protective protein against radiation and genetic damage, something most other creatures cannot withstand. It can survive up to 30 years in a dry state and return to normal function with just a few drops of water. Number 13. Hydra. The almost immortal creature of the ocean, it is not only a beautiful creature under the microscope, but also a symbol of regeneration and biological immortality. It does not need a zombie-like afterlife or resurrection because it never dies of old age. Why does a hydra never age? Continuously renewing its cells, the body of a hydra constantly regenerates new cells, replacing old cells as soon as they degrade. Its entire body is like a perfect biological regeneration machine with no time to age. Scientists have discovered that a hydra can live forever under ideal conditions without ever weakening. Nearly 100% of the cells in a hydra can transform and replace each other. That is, skin cells can become nerve cells, muscle cells, etc., depending on the needs, something the human body is almost incapable of doing. Researchers have kept a population of hydras for more than 4 years, and they showed no signs of aging, no weakening, no changes in reproductive ability, no death. While most organisms, including worms and flies, have a distinct life cycle, hydras go beyond the definition of aging. Number 14. Jellyfish. Otherworldly creatures that float dreamily in the depths of the ocean. But don't let their soft appearance fool you. There is a special jellyfish that even death doesn't stop it. This is a candidate for the title of true immortality in nature. Turritopsis dohrnii, immortal jellyfish. This is a tiny jellyfish, only the size of a fingernail, but possesses the ability to reverse its life cycle, an extremely rare form of biological reset in nature when injured, old, or in a bad environment. This jellyfish does not die completely. Instead, it turns back from an adult, polyp larva, then grows back from the beginning as a young creature. Imagine you are a 90-year-old man and suddenly turn back into a newborn baby to start your life over. And do it forever. Finally, the iguana, a creature that seems like just a lizard living in the water, but is actually a legend of regeneration in the animal world. If you think snakes shed their skins, then iguanas regenerate limbs, tails, eyes, spinal cords, and parts of the heart and brain. Iguanas, especially the axolotl, Ambystoma mexicanum, are known for their amazing ability to regenerate their bodies after injury. Not only do they survive the loss of body parts, they grow them back exactly like new ones, no scars, no defects, and they function perfectly. Lose a hand, grow a hand back. Lose a leg, grow a leg back. Even. The brain and heart cut off a leg, grow it back intact in a few weeks. Lose part of the spinal cord? Reconnect the nerves and restore movement. Remove part of the heart or brain? Full tissue regeneration, functioning as if never injured. For many other creatures, losing a limb, spinal cord, or brain is a death sentence. But for the salamander, it not only survives, but also regenerates its full function, as if nothing had happened. In some experiments, the salamander has even completely regrew a jaw, or an eye. Scientists are studying the genes of salamanders to understand how tissue regenerates, which could be applied to patients with amputated limbs, spinal cord injuries, regenerating nerve tissue, eyes, hearts, livers. Thank you for watching. If there are any other animals that I have not mentioned, please comment below to discuss and share information with each other. Wish you a happy and good day.